Today we're going to simplify complex fractions. A complex fraction is a fraction whose numerator and denominator are also fractions. Essentially, you have fractions within fractions. Our goal is to eliminate all the small fractions so you only have a main fraction remaining. The steps are, we're going to make sure all the terms inside the large fraction are written as fractions, multiply each small fraction by the common denominator of the small fractions over 1, rewrite what is left on top and bottom, factor the top and bottom if you can, and reduce the top and bottom if you can. So, our first problem is 3 minus 9 over x minus 8 plus 15x. Our first step is to change each of those into fractions. So 3 becomes 3 over 1, 9 over x is already a fraction, x becomes x over 1, and 8 becomes 8 over 1. Our next step is to find the common denominator of all the small fractions. Currently our denominators are 1 and x, so the common denominator would be x over 1. We multiply each of the small fractions by that common denominator. Next, we need to eliminate any problems from numerator and denominator, each of the small fractions. Nothing gets eliminated in the x over 1 times 3 over 1, so we're left with 3x. 9 over x times x over 1, the x's are eliminated, and we're left with minus 9. On the bottom, nothing is eliminated times x over 1 times x over 1, and we end up with x squared. Then, minus 8x. And again, 15 over x times x over 1, the x's are eliminated, and we're left with plus 15. Next, we need to factor each of the new numerator and denominator. So when we factor that, we get 3 times x minus 3 over x minus 3 times x minus 5. Now we can see that the x minus 3 we have on top and bottom, so that's eliminated. So our final answer is going to be 3 over x minus 5. Now, let's try another problem. This time, we have p over 12 plus 1 over 6 minus 2 over p all over p over 12 minus 4 over 3p. This looks complex, but if we follow our steps, we'll be fine. Our first step is to make sure each part has a small fraction, which is already established. Each of the fractions in the numerator and denominator are already written as fractions. So our next step is to find a common denominator between all the small fractions. We have 12, 6, p, 12, and 3p. So our common denominator would be 12p. So we put 12p over 1 and multiply each of the small fractions by that. Now, we can see in the first fraction, the 12s cancel out, and we're left with p times p, which is p squared, plus here, the 6 and the 12 can cancel. The 6 becomes a 1, the 12 becomes a 2, and we're left with plus 2p. Minus, here our p's cancel out, and we're left with 2 times 12, which is 24. Now, we need to cancel out in the bottom. The 12s cancel out. we're left with p times p, which is p squared, minus, here the 3p and the 12p cancel out. The 3p becomes a 1, and the 12p becomes a 4. And we have 4 times 4, which is 16. Now all the small fractions have been eliminated, so now we need to factor what is left. Our p squared plus 2p minus 24 factors into p minus 4 times p plus 6. The denominator is a difference of a perfect square, so that factors into p minus 4 times p plus 4. Our p minus 4's cancel out, and our final answer is going to be p plus 6 over p plus 4. And that's how you solve and simplify a complex fraction.